are very excited to start this podcast series called See Through Feminism, hosted by Heinrich-Böll-Stiftung, Southeast Asia Regional Office, and Feminimitr, where we will investigate feminist movements across Southeast Asia. I'm your host, Jirada, and we start this first ever episode with the reckoning that Southeast Asia has complex local and colonial histories that have influenced the development of feminist movements in many different ways. But despite these challenges, there are common themes that resonate across the region. And in fact, each country's feminist movement can offer stories that could benefit one another, and the public can also learn more about these feminist mobilization, support, and consciousness. So we would like to investigate these stories, challenges, and lessons, one topic at a time. For today's episode, we start with Peacebuilding. We have a guest that I'm super excited to talk to. Her name is Khun Ouyporn Khuankaew, who is a Buddhist feminist activist and has been a workshop facilitator in Asia since 1995. She facilitates workshops on feminist counseling, sexuality, anti-oppression, peacebuilding, and nonviolent direct action with Thai NGOs and government workers. But not just for Thais, this spans to regional and international participants as well. She also guides meditation retreats for activists, and she's based in Merrim in Chiang Mai, and she's here with us today. So how are you feeling, Ka Pi Ouyporn?
Excited to talk to young feminist activists like you. And also, I guess the audience probably are also into the issue that we are committed in, right? Okay.
I'm very excited as well.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. So let's start with the first question. What is peace building and why is it important?
This is when I began to involve in peace building and women, which came later, right? Probably 20, 30 years ago. It was already, I think it's amazing how feminists around the globe are challenging the meaning of peace building, which has name or called by patriarchal leader, that peace building means this situation or a program, a movement to rebuild a country, a nation after war, right? Something like that. So peace building always either after the war end, right? You need to reconcile, you need to rebuild. But from the feminist perspective, and particularly for me, no, particularly me, peace building starts from home because I grew up and raised in a very violent family. And even before I claimed myself a feminist activist working on peace building, I was growing up in a village where poverty is quite random, right? You and your neighbor are the same. We face situation, but I know that many family in my village, they live peacefully with their parents, struggle together through poverty. But my family was not. So to me, already when people ask me what is peace building for many children, and particularly women and LGBT, for us, is that safety in the home, safety and security in the home. And for poor people, security of food, right? And safety too. So the peace building is the basic need you need first. So it's not the end of the war that you rebuild, you try to build after the war. It was that you access to safety in your body, in your mind, your spirit, right? It's you access to clean water, you access to good food, you access to good housing, right? Because all these basic needs, it's almost universal need for every human being, but particularly for women and children and LGBT, when home is not a safe place. So when you talk about peace building, for me, that it starts from the home. And then the next place is the community where you belong, where you feel safe when you walk around. I grew up when I walk around and I won't feel safe. And then I grew up in a Buddhist country like Thailand, where I was not allowed to go to temple after dark. And there's certain buildings in the temple, even nowadays, I'm 62, you're still not allowed to enter, right? So the peace building is your daily life, right? Where you can access to safety, security, so where you can live your normal life.
I agree. So as a cis woman and also as a Buddhist person, I tend to avoid Buddhist temple because I don't feel like it has a space for me. And I just don't feel like I belong there. There's so many restrictions around just because of my gender, right? So
why have you included Buddhism into your work, and how does religion play a role in this?
This is something because when you grew up in a village, like Buddhist village, right? My life at that time, some 50, 60 years ago, there's no school in the village. So the temple is the center of everything for community, for culture, for art, for education, for health even, and for spirituality. But when the temple is, limited, the access of, to me, women, but plus CLBT too, and already in those days, right? And I was questioning, to me, feminist doesn't mean you have to go to study, right, to read Western feminist theory or something, but you can feel that this is something wrong happened to you and your family. I remember when my mom always said this. When my father started abusing, she would say, oh, this is our karma. This is our karma. And when will it end? And that I kept hearing from her, right? And then that was karma is all coming from Buddhism, right? You hear all the time the temple says something else about other. It is about karma, right? And one of my sisters was a nun, and she remained a nun now, maybe after 30 years, and was told that she's very dedicated to her practice, but she was told by her mom that, oh, you have to do a lot of good karma so that next life you will be born in a male form. So even sister who had been a nun, a white robe nun for 30 years, that this message is too strong in Thailand, in Burma, Cambodia, in Laos, and even in Tibet tradition, where I work a lot with Buddhist women, right? So then when I became involved in Buddhist for social justice through the network of Engaged Buddhism, I was the only one among two women in that circle at that time to identify as feminist. Another person is Venerable Dhammananda, formerly Professor Chatsuman. And I realized that when you were in the gathering of Buddhist lay and ordained, again, I saw the women were quiet. Especially the white robe nun, they came, a lot of them came from poor family, right? And they were not in the structure of Thai Buddhism. There's no place at all. So again, in religion, you saw only me because I spoke English and I'm a feminist, right? So I run international thing. I also saw only a couple of women, 3 women were invited to speak. The rest, you would just listen and be a passive audience. And that hit me like, how this Buddhism, which is very governing our culture, our daily life, our faith, our spiritual, our religion, and people, in Thailand, there's still a strong faith. In many countries around the world, faith is about your life and your death, right? For some people, more economic than economic status, right? So I began to just look at like how this patriarchy, its impact Buddhism, and you can do this only through the feminist lens. So I began to just read everything I can find, ask Dhammananda all the questions I have, like, what? And then just realizing that when we began the first training on feminism, Buddhism, and social justice, this is like 2003. We invite women from all the country in our region, right? And all said the same thing. You are not going to be enlightened. Your husband abused you because previous life karma, you are LGBT, you are poor, you're disabled. Everything about oppressive situation, it's about previous life karma. And to me, because I decided to work with grassroots women, and I said, if you don't really wake up, if you don't deconstruct this belief, this patriarchy value and belief system in the women, they cannot be truly waking up. And they won't see that patriarchal Buddhist institution and teaching are actually supporting oppression, supporting the state, and it's part of the problem, or even the root cause of the problem for me. So that's why I can see the deep link between religious, particularly Buddhism, how that co-op with the state oppression, right? How that co-op with, economic system that is unfair, right? So I begin to read and study why with or other feminists from there directly. I went to every feminist teacher if I can attend to their retreat, their talk, and read, because among feminists my age at that time, I don't think anyone interested in that. But because I was so directed impact by a patriarchal Buddhist from I grew up in the village and I work with grassroots, you can see that it's impact them. And the other thing I noticed was feminist movement, feminist group in Thailand are middle class, are well educated. They are not social like this, so they don't see, right? And it's good. They work on law, they work on safe house other women. But I just noticed inside our internalization is on deeply wrong thing about the Buddha teaching. I find that this is a way to crack that foundation, the root. So I began to invest our energy and we ran that course almost, I don't know, 7 to 10 years. And then we attract a lot of women. You know why? Because in Christianity, there was a school, right, for lay people, a school to understand Buddhism. But in Buddhist culture institution, only boy can access to education. And this is one of the way the patriarchy institution in Buddhism prevent women, keep the oppression on women, JP, is that by preventing you to study what are the true teaching of Buddhism.
So you mentioned about IWP, that's International Women's Partnership for Peace and Justice based in Mariam. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so what does peace particularly mean for IWP? For, being a feminist and being a Buddhist?
Yeah.
How does that look like?
20 years ago, we met a lot of young people who went to study peace in other places around the world. And particularly the women from Burma. But many of them came back. They came to study with us for 3 months or 3 weeks. And they came back and said, oh, they're very impressed with the way we look at peace building because one, we did a lot of inner peace. Peace for us is just not the two government, it's just not the two group reconcile and agree, no war, no shooting like what's happening in Burma and Cambodia right now. We start with the peace within. And you know why? Because as women, as grassroots LGBT, as marginalized group, in order to work for peace and justice, we don't have support, right? We don't have money. We don't have big name. We don't have big organization and other outer resources. But the resource that will sustain us is inner peace. But why women and grassroots people don't have inner peace? Because we were being beaten up from home, right? Right? So we deal with trauma. That's how we did. Oh, I remember the first course, 3 months, it was just so traumatized by, 13, 14 different women, different from ethnic, come from to our center. We cried so much. I really taught them yoga morning and evening, right? Because they couldn't close their eyes, sitting meditation because the trauma triggered them, right? So peace within is what we really make sure it cultivate. But also not just peace within, it's joy. And to me, I have this gratitude to Thich Nhat Hanh, He said life is not just suffering. We need to cultivate joy from being around beauty, being around good friends, from eating good food, from playing with animals, from just sitting and look up in this clear blue sky, right? So I found that we need to cultivate inner peace, joy, and hope. So that's how we talk at the personal level. And at the group level, at the movement level, we talk about power sharing. This is another core of feminists to deconstruct because it doesn't mean all women come together and we are not how you call socializing or continuing the power over culture, which I think it rooted in, it's part of male dominant culture. So we practice a lot of deep listening, a lot of power sharing, listening to each other, right? Sharing resource. This to me is also a key. Peace means you move to a power sharing culture, which democracy is part of it. Because many countries like Thailand, right, we say democracy, but it's not power sharing, right? So power sharing it's a new culture, and I love this teacher. Haven't met her, but read most of her book. Ryan Eisler, who really amazing thinker. She wrote the book called The Power of Partnership. meaning only power sharing between human being, between race and gender, different race, gender, religion, and even power sharing between us and other being, right? Human being will survive. So that is another peace level. Once you listen to each other, you share resource, you're not competing, you're not judging, right? You are not like taking away other people. So you're being, I would call that the power sharing is one of the main principle. And when as organization at a community at a moment we practice this principle, it brings peace and hope and safety. And that's how we can feel peace when peace is not there totally for everyone in our community, in our world, in our nation, but at least among our group. We just feel safe, we feel support, we feel empowered. And that's how we experience peace when we are with other people, right? That we work with for change. Peace within is when you are alone, right? But power sharing being peace. So the next level is society, right? How that's why we in those courses we spend about 7 to 10 days teaching participants on nonviolent action, different actions you can use, from stopping violence on the street, from stopping a child being beaten by parents in your neighborhood, working with local leaders to protect your land, your water, your resources, anything that is being taken away by capitalists, by outsider, by government, or by rich people. And to the level of the civil war or the war between countries. So this is in short how we see it's all interconnected.
That's very interesting. And, living in a world where there's so many violence going on the structural level, on the knowledge, on everything, how do these nonviolent actions look like? Could you share some examples or the work that you and your team has done?
I think nonviolent, because I was fortunate to have been trained by Quaker. I really owe a lot of my knowledge. I went to attend Quaker course many times and then learn from the Quaker teacher who came to Thailand, and even went to assist my Quaker teacher, George Lakey, to teach nonviolent action to grassroots people in Cambodia 29 years ago. And then I was also influenced by Gandhian movement. So, at that time, it's just that you read everything, you learn, right? And also because then as around 33, I start to commit a Buddhist practice. And the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist way of life is nonviolent. You don't lie, you don't take advantage of people, right? You don't destroy life and you protect life. So at a daily level, at a personal level, it's how you live in a way that you don't harm other human being, you don't harm nature by putting chemical on your land, right? And not harming other being anymore as much as that you can in your life. And to me, this is again peace. It's about nonviolence in daily life. Some people might think being religious follow the sila, we call sila, right? So the 5 precepts might be something out of date, but it's not out of date. And I took 5 Buddhist vows from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a socially engaged Buddhist. Like you are not harming anyone, but you also work against all kind of oppression. So it's your daily life and your work life. So nonviolent in daily life is like that to me. And nonviolent in organization is become a principle which coincide with the feminist principle, transparent, right? And use nonviolent speech if you want to give a feedback to a friend, to a colleague, right? Without judgment, without making story up to destroy her. So again, nonviolent speech, nonviolent feedback come into work, even to write email, right? Thich Nhat Hanh said before you respond to something in your Facebook, just breathe in, right? Even before you pick the call, when you're angry, right? Breathe in 5 times, 10 times, so that you calm down, right? Feel a little bit peace and have some mindfulness, and then okay, now I just have to listen because that person is, got a wrong information. And then later on, when I'm calmed down, the person in his speech, I can write back non-violently. And I learned this from Thich Nhat Hanh and also from Quaker. So again, this is with work, right? And I think at a level of a big level, right? I still believe that only nonviolent is an answer to war, to conflict, because we are marginalized people. If you think about a global movement around the world in US, we don't have arm, right? And we have army. You don't have access to all technology that the government or the big corporation has. But we have the people. But we have our friends globally who share value. And when people come together, believe in nonviolence, I think we become a powerful force. We can take down dictatorship government that have hundreds of tanks and huge army. And I have seen that in many countries, from not with my eye, because through the training that our teacher will show many themes, right, when nonviolence prevails. And because nonviolence has been used by women around the world, but the story is not heard. When you go through all the feminist movement around the world, even start with one woman, or young people, right? They all start with nonviolent. That's the only thing they have. That women we will not learn socialize to just fight back. We just say, okay, step back and try to have a dialogue, right? And women learn to solve problem nonviolently. You should see that when you talk about family, who is the one who trying to have a dialogue, listen to both, is the mother, right? When the son and when the sibling are fighting, right? And when whatever happened, the mother, the woman is that. We socialize to learn and inherit this non-violent, and we use that, and we believe because it's worked in the family already, right? It worked in the family and it worked many places because you have experienced it. It's reinforced my Buddhist practice. It reinforced my belief in a feminist, because feminists fight for justice, fight for equality, fight for safety, right? It connect to my religious belief as a Buddhist. It's really reinforced my belief in feminism, because when you think about feminism, we don't have tank. Where feminists gonna get an army and tank? We have an army of women and young people, right? Old and young, and go protest here and there on war, climate change, and everything, right?
So from what I'm hearing, it's about Buddhism, but at the same time, it's about shared principles of peace, right? It's not just about okay, if a person who might have a different faith, they can't participate in peace building process. It's not like that. So I think that's very interesting. And let's say if myself, for example, if I want to start looking into peace building, is there any resources or recommendation? Where should I start? Because usually when I study, it's usually about feminism and white feminism, very urban focus and very master degree educated, for the lack of a better word. Where should I start?
Yeah, I think one is that there's not so many stories of grassroots women's movement. Just last week, this person came. Her name is Pony. I'm gonna send you a link. She's the Tamil feminist activist. And Sri Lanka is a small country, but they've been through war. They lost 30,000 people. The war was 30, 40 years. So many loss, so many hatred, so many misunderstanding and violence. And she came to lead the dancing and art therapy to the LGBT from Asia and Pacific region. And before she did that, I led a 3-day well-being workshop for those 16 trans activists from 11 countries in the region. And they had a time to talk. So she talked about her group, a small group, but they've been working. They walk every day. They did a lot of art and dancing, create safe space. So I think that's how you learn peace building, through real life experience. We either go to a course that run by people who been through it and really committed to work on it. But reading is important. Reading from the text, different things are important. But once you go attend their workshop, visit their project, it helps to see what a real experience look like, right? And that's how I I just look at my life, either feminist work or peace building. I read, very interested. But then you went to conference, you met to real people who did it, especially grassroots people like Mahakosana, the monk who led the peace walk in Cambodia 20 years ago. Very powerful walk, right? And learn about the group around the region. It was so powerful when you immerse yourself in that experience of the people who are working on peace building through their life. Even joining the protest, my teacher, my Quaker teacher, always said, if you're going to teach people how to protest, you have to join the press. If you're going to teach people about different things, you have to dive into that. So to me nowadays, they probably have a lot of things on internet, right? I would say, if you already know who you're looking for, who and where and what issue you want to go deep. Nowadays, young people speak English very well, right? They are all connected, Go and learn. I just find that when you have internship for 3 months or 6 months or 10 months, it's so helpful. Or you invite those people who train on the ground to come and teach, not just talk, but they teach too, right? So that we all, as much as we can, we get hands-on experience.
Mm. And that's how you build a community as well, right? A person cannot heal in isolation. They have to connect with other people.
Yeah.
And usually, what are the challenges that you usually experience? Or perhaps there are also many shared challenges for other people who work on peace building. Usually, what are those challenges look like?
Particularly for feminist peace building. It's only peace building that we are facing. Women had lower income than men. And even when you work on issue like peace building, if you're a woman, the media won't come to you. They go to the monk first. They go to the cis men first, right? And secondly, we have other issues to deal with too. I spent many years teaching about gender, teaching about patriarchy. You have to teach other issue. Why? Dealing with training the psychologists, the police women to deal with gender-based violence. It's going on daily, every minute, right? Women and LGBT. So there's so many issues you have to do. The good part that make you become intersectional, but with under resources, right? That's why a challenge for me is still this. Like I work with the women of Burma long time. Now the people I worked with 20 years ago had to deal with well-being, right? And they came back before they came back for feminists to train them on feminist leadership, right? And then gender equality and human rights. Now they came back to learn that, we want to be a trainer on well-being, right? So they came and work on their trauma, work on their burnout, right? Go back. Because the term of peace building that defined by feminists are bigger, are broader, are inclusive, and are intersectional, not just, a war between groups like that, right? So this has been challenging, but I hope with young feminists like you and others around the world, we have to keep writing and talking about what do we mean by peace building. We have to create a program where women across faith, region, or even just one region, but different generation come and learn from each other. I think this will be a place where we keep passing down, where I can learn from young generation. Like, this is what I'm thinking about. Because of this challenge, it even is more important for us to come together for Thailand at a country level. And now with the problem with Cambodia, a regional level or just a true country level, that I'm planning to involve this next month already with an old friend from Cambodia. We're just going to have meeting. What can we do, right? And regional. And also intergenerational. But spend time together, not just conference like 1, 2, 3 days at the hotel. Hey, bye-bye. I contact you later when I have work or meeting, right? But coming to get to know each other deeply. Like you said, build a committee. Build a family to me. Build a family. A community, and that we are sister, mother, auntie, or whatever, where we can keep support our energy, keep support our community to grow big and connect to the movement.
I like that a lot. That's very powerful, and I'll take that with me wherever I go. So
That's why we met. That's why we met.
and this will not be our last time that we meet as well. There will be more, surely more in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
I wish I could talk with you for many, many hours.
Yeah, thank you for your energy and your very interesting and useful program ค่ะ Take good care.
Thank you ค่ะ Likewise. Thank you ค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ
So that is it. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. For more information about feminist peace building in Southeast Asia, we also recommend you to check out our blog, which will be linked in the description. For the next episode, we will cover climate, agriculture, and land strike with our very special guests in Thailand. So stay tuned. Until next time.